Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Frozen Frontier. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm like we were saying, glad to be back. It's been too long.
Been way too long. So, for those of you that don't know what's going on and you're wondering why everyone else looks to be dead, they're not here today. I think Ryan has a conference in Iceland or in Finland or in some like northern cold place that ends in land. Um,
Cold land.
yes. I guess he's not in Greenland, so it's one of those two. So we're doing a flashback of Yaromir, kind of like figuring out who he is before he went on this adventure to Caledonia. Maybe what his motivations are. Maybe I don't know. We'll see what's up with him. So Greg, do you want to introduce us to where you are presently?
Sure, absolutely. So this flashback is to a time earlier in his life. He is not in Matava. He has escaped Matava in a previous adventure, but we find him in a small village in this new land close to the Sylvan border. I believe that we're still in the same. We're still in the same country that we start the adventure in.
No, this is actually north of Drekis.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is going to be in Mistria.
Okay, so we're in the country of Mistria on the border to Sylvan, in a small town called Stumptown, which is just outside of Half Hill if you're looking on the map. And here, Yaromir has moved. He has known that these tattoos are embroiled in magic of some kind, and his thought was to move up to the elves and find somebody that were a magically inclined people. The work of the arcane runs through the blood of the elves, and he wanted to go up there and find them. But unfortunately, it's much harder to do, and the elves are much less welcoming people than Yaromir had hoped. And so Yaromir is moved with his wife and daughter to a kind of small hut outside of Stumptown, where Yaromir has plied his trades of arcanology and folklore and omen reading and some healing to kind of be the town's like witch man,
Witch Doctor Man.
witch
thing.
doctor man.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're starting. That'll catch you up to now.
Cool. Would you like to introduce us to your wife, Victoria, and give us just kind of an overview of who she is? Do you want to tell us how you met, or is that a story that we're going to get into another time?
It might be a story we get into another time, but Victoria is a woman that I met on the road out of Matava. Basically, she is a Matavan woman that was equally disillusioned with the matriarchy for unknown reasons at this point. Unknown reasons for the audience. And she and I kind of made our escape from the homeland together, with kind of a shared purpose of leaving the matriarchy behind us. And through that relationship, we kind of got to know each other better, especially on the run from authority, and had a small non-religious ceremony. We just call each other husband and wife. It's not really been made official under the light of Martha, as Matavan custom dictates. But through that union, we had a daughter that we named Kat, or Catherine. Cat for short. She's about 7 or 8, precocious and independent, loves to run around and be, in trouble.
As little kids do.
Yes.
Okay. How do we want to start with this? Here we go. Let's start here. So is there anything else we should know before we just hop right into game and kind of figure out what's going on with you?
This comes at a time, Yaromir spent a long time in his life not having any access to the arcane. And he has some now, but has yet to really unlock his own potential. He's very, very, very smart. He learns quickly. He has a suite of kind of skills at his disposal, but he is yet to master wizardry. He's essentially a level 0 wizard.
Yes. Excellent. So, your level 0 wizard lives outside of Stump Hill in your little cottage. I'm expecting this to be pretty small, maybe like a 1 or 2 room cottage. Maybe there's like a separate bedroom and then like a dining room, living room, kitchen, general purpose, everything else room.
Yeah, pretty much. That puts the nail on the head. Occasionally, people will come to the general purpose room to have their omen read or to have some healing, but I'm often like an on-call person. I will go into town or go into wherever I'm needed.
Does that mean your big general purpose room has like a little like mystical setup to it where it looks all like woo?
No, actually, it's very plain. There's probably like a corner that would be very weird to other people that like don't know, but it's got like a small like little cot and a bunch of medical like tools, like very barbaric looking old school medical tools, and like maybe some like weird herbs and dried things, and there's probably a bag of weird shit over there too, but it's not like everywhere all over the general purpose room.
Right.
It looks like someone's living area.
Perfect. So you've been here, when we hop in, you haven't been here quite yet a year. You've maybe been in town, well, outside of town, for like 8 months or so. And the word is starting to spread that you're not just a healer, but you also are a bit of a fortune teller. You have a way of knowing things that other people just don't know. And I think, well, what does your wife do during the day?
She is kind of the like if I'm the mental stats, she's the physical stats of the family. She knows how to hunt and track and cook and those types of things. I was very reliant on her getting out of Matava, right? She would be the fighter to my wizard.
Okay. All right, so I think your wife is probably outside, like chopping firewood, because you'll get some logs, and she'll go out there and she'll chop it and stack it, and tend to the garden and like go bring some meat from the woods or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think right now she's outside chopping wood while your younger daughter is maybe watching, maybe chasing squirrels in the yard. I don't know. She's outside. She's out of sight.
She does that all the time, right? Out running around, chasing squirrels, chasing bugs, doing her crazy 8-year-old things.
Yeah. When there comes like a on your door,
I walk over to it, kind of compose myself for a moment, open up. Hello.
Standing before you is a young girl. Maybe 15 years old, big, terrified eyes, and kind of a shaky appearance to her. She's got brown hair that comes down to her shoulders. It's tied back ever so slightly in like a loose loop. Her clothes are indicative of kind of, lower social status, maybe a farmer's daughter, something like that. Kind of makes sense out here in Stump Hill. There's not much else but farmers and woodcutters.
Right.
And she goes, Are you the fortune teller?
Yes, my dear. The name is Yaromir. You look very shaken, unwell. Are you sick?
No.
Very nervous?
Yes.
I see. Would it, do you want to come in and have tea? My wife makes tremendous brew.
She looks behind her a few times to make sure that no one's around, and then nods, and before you can even say anything, tries to squeeze past you to hop inside.
I'm very easy to squeeze past, right? This is a point in my life where I'm already unnaturally thin. I don't block doors. So yeah, she squeezes past me. I kind of poke my head out and look at Victoria, and I'm like, Vicky, I will be borrowing teapot. We have customer. And kind of close the door.
All right. The girl goes to whatever windows are around and peers outside for a few moments, then turns around and starts looking at the inside of your house.
Yeah, I kind of wave her away from the, like, probably there's a window so that there's like natural light near where I have to do like very fine work on like surgery or healing. I kind of wave her away from that area. It probably is a frightening area, right, for people. It like symbolizes death and decay, and there's weird instruments there. And I'm like, come, have seat on futon. Right, and like I set her up on kind of like the living area. There's like a small kind of table with a cloth on it, a couple of chairs, and I go over to a stove and begin making tea just from I guess kind of like a local flower tea.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm preparing it, I kind of say, "So, you know my name, but I do not know yours, girl."
Ginger.
Ginger, very nice name. What brings you to Yaromir's place?
Do you know my parents? Mr. and Mrs. Longbottom?
I am very familiar with your brother Neville as well. Yes. I no, yes, I do know the Longbottoms. I have seen them in town once or twice. I believe a cure fever for your mother not long ago.
She nods slightly. You won't tell them I'm here, will you?
If you do not wish it, I will not tell them. It is okay.
She sits down, looking around, looking very anxious, and kind of like she doesn't know how to proceed with telling you things. I'm
pretty charismatic, right? Like this is one of the things that Yaromir just is. So he like kind of sets down some tea and kind of just like has a seat not next to her, like across from her on a different seat. Kind of pours some out and just I try to engage in a little small talk, right? Like, so how is family business? Longbottom is a tailor, correct? And like just try to get her unease away.
Yeah, she happily chats with you about anything other than the reason she came to talk to you for a few minutes. And then eventually a lull comes over the conversation, and she says, You can tell things that are but can't be seen, right?
This is a base way to put it, but yes, depending on thing. Do you mean like, would you like to have your fortune read? I can tell you things that may come to pass. Tell me, girl, Ginger, what is it that bothers you so? And perhaps I can prescribe to you treatment.
It has been 7 weeks since
I nod my head. I say, since the moon blood. Yes. I am familiar with this question. I can tell if this is natural occurrence or if this is I can tell if this is natural miss of cycle or if this is perhaps a pregnancy. Come, give me one moment. I will fetch the bones. And I go and collect from, like, there's a bag near the medical equipment. I pull out, like, this large kind of obsidian bowl that's intricately carved with runes and glyphs, very similar to what is tattooed on my skin. And I pull out these, like, kind of long ivory bones carved in the different shapes of animals. And I kind of set them out in front of her, and I lay them out kind of on a velvet cloth between our tea, and I say, all right, young Ginger, the way this works is Each of these bones here represent different phases of stars, moon, the gods. Yes, the tapestry of power. I want for you to select ones that speak to you, and we shall cast them and read your future. Right? And there's probably, if there's probably one that's symbolic for each deity, and then like 8 more that represent various kind of like undeity powers, just like kind of chaotic powers in the universe. And they're all like not direct representations, right? There's not one of like a mother for Martha. There's like animals and odd kind of shapes and carving into them. And if you know what you're looking for, you can identify them. But to a lay person, they're probably just picking blind.
Right. So she goes through here and kind of looks at the stones, turns a few of them over, and then in a bit of a huff, just like grabs 3 of them. And hands them over. I kind
of do that thing where I'm like knowingly on each one, but I don't say anything. And I collect them up. I begin kind of chanting this kind of soft ritual, right? I begin speaking in the old common, and without training in it, it probably sounds a little bit like gibberish. And I kind of toss these bones, kind of give them a shake, get a swirling around in the bowl, and kind of give it a final whoosh, and toss them down and read what they lay.
All right, you want to make me a omen reading check?
I will indeed. I don't have my character token on here, so give me a second to look at my actual check. So omen reading is plus 12.
Nice. Well, you rolled a 1. What do you tell her?
So the reading is probably just absolute gibberish, right?
Yeah, she picked up like some weird mismatched stones that don't really make a lot of sense together, and then like they rolled and like one of them kind of like fell out of the bowl, and it's just like it didn't go well.
Yeah. I kind of look at her, and I take that deep, like searching thought look on my face. I just kind of like do that meditation thing where I think on the meaning of this for a while. And I look at her and I tell her, the bones are clear. I believe you are indeed pregnant. I kind of say, this may be a difficult thing to talk to parents about. You say it has been 7 weeks.
Maybe 8, yeah. Maybe 9, I don't know.
I want you to think on this for a while. Perhaps day, 2 days, come back. I have knowledge of potion that they say in far east is capable of removing the quickened body. Is expensive potion, but one I believe I have material for.
Isn't that dangerous?
Yes. But is option. I suggest you think on this with parents. But it is option I can give you.
She nods, gets up to leave, and then turns around and starts digging around in her pockets and says, how much do I owe you?
Do not worry, child. This one, free of charge. Perhaps next time I am in village, you give me hot pie. Mrs. Longbottom's hot pies, I know, very delicious.
All right. Ginger leaves hurriedly, slamming the door behind her, and just running back to town. Your wife comes in a few moments later, gives you a quizzical look, saying, she seemed in a hurry. Is everything okay?
She has not seen her moon blood in 7 weeks.
She was quite young, isn't she?
She is, yes. I cast bones, but I get no reading. I told her, just based on medical knowledge, I believe she is pregnant. it is not unnatural to. Well, you tell me, Victoria. 7 weeks seems like long time, no?
7 weeks is a long time. Things were more variable at her age, but 7 weeks is... I've never heard... I don't know anyone like that.
This is what I think is will. I give her option. I say if you talk with parents for a couple days, we will make the mugwort potion to undo quickening if she desires. She is so young after all.
Well... Your wife gives a shrug and just heads back out. You can hear the axe going whack again. And then we're just going to kind of skip forward in time a little bit. I think we're going to do a sampling of events here. So
Sure.
maybe a few weeks later, your wife is once again out in the yard. This time she is tending to the garden. I think you guys probably grow some of your own foods there. So she's
Sure.
like, digging trenches and like mixing in fertilizer and, doing all the laborious parts of the gardening while you might come through later and like plant the vegetables and like pick them gently.
Yeah. I definitely do the easy bit of the gardening for sure.
Yeah. When you hear a shrill cry coming up from your daughter, who is also outside with her in the yard.
As any good overprotective parent would be, I immediately come careening out of the hut, like, what is cry about? What is wrong?
Your daughter is pointing in the direction of your wife, who has a hoe in her hands, like back in like a striking position. And then you see just beyond her and down a few feet are a collection of brownies, like the little woodland creatures.
Oh, okay. I was like, this is not threat. We will eat delicious brownie. Okay. So I kind of am a know-it-all, right? Like that is the purpose of Yaromir. Does Yaromir know anything about brownies? Is his like training in folklore or anything like that given me any
Yeah, you've definitely heard of them. This is not the first time that you've seen them around, but this is the first time that they've approached your house. These guys are like maybe 2 feet tall at the most. They look a little bit like this feller right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they got all these like weird tights and walking sticks, strange caps with like giant feathers, but they're like, a little feather, but the proportions are all off.
Sure.
Ripped stockings, little green shoes. And they're coming up to your house, seemingly unbothered by your wife's menacing
Menacing
hoe
hoe?
grab. Yeah.
But her hoe is so menacing. So I would like to roll folklore, I guess. I would like to rack my brains to know if there is a greeting or some expectation of a fae folk, right? If fae folk come to visit, do you offer them like tea? Do you offer them do you give them like a rabbit to eat? Like, is there some like known like lore about fae folk coming to visit?
Give me a folklore check.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. Oh, I'm actually pretty good at folklore. 29.
Ooh, very nice. So you would know that these little weird fae folk tend to do greeting, like they'll tend to do some sort of like dance as a greeting method. Not like a long thing, but a dance is maybe not the quite right word. It's like a little bit of a jig. It's like a couple of steps. It's like a 3 or 4 second long thing at most, which tends to show their disposition. If it's like a happy fun dance, then they're probably in a happy fun mood. If it's a little bit more like tough, then maybe they're not too happy with you. So their method of communication and greetings is like a little bit of a little jig.
Okay, Okay, so I 100% with my 8 decks want to do a jig.
Nice.
I'm gonna walk up to Victoria and kind of put my hand on her back, like, Victoria, perhaps is not best to wield mighty hoe against guests. And then I kind of walk past her and I begin doing a happy jig. I'm like, yay! I'm like in an attempt to like be like, yo, I'm happy. Are you happy? Would you like to have a bite to eat? What's up?
Right.
That's my jig. I don't know how good I am at it. I have 6 strength and 8 dex. I'm probably not the best dancer.
All right, that's a pretty decent dance, though. They do their own little happy dance back, and your wife kind of drops the hoe. Your daughter, seeing that this is a friendly thing, immediately approaches them, puts her hands on her hips, and goes, "You're short. What are you things?"
I like put my hand on her head, like, very good question. Perhaps a little blunt. Hello, friends. Welcome to our abode. What can we do you for?
As they start to approach, one of them, snaps his head to the side, and you see, kind of coming up the walkway towards your house, is a woodcutter. He's not walking, I'm sorry. He's pulling a cart behind him that's laden with wood. The brownies stop. They look to you, all friendly-like, and then they look to him a little bit worried, and you can kind of see them start to, like, do a nervous sway back and forth. The woodcutter in his ox cart sees you and your wife looking at him, gives you a friendly wave, and keeps coming up the way.
I kind of wave back, and I kind of look to the brownies, and I ask them, do you speak common tongue?
One of them looks like he's about to say something when the other jabs him in the ribs, and then kind of jerks his head, and they turn and scamper off back into the woods. You hear a loud, "What the fuck are those?" coming from the farmer coming up the way, or the woodcutter coming up the way.
Language, Gary. Daughter is right here. Right here.
Gary.
Did you give him a name? I'm sorry.
You feel free to name these things. It's great. I'm
I call him Gary now. Your name may be Bryce. I call you Gary. These are fae folk of forest. Gary, I have question. Have you gone to new part of forest to gather wood?
No. The cart pulls all the way up to your house. You can see there's maybe a half cord of wood in the back.
Okay. I say these small creatures of forest were very nervous upon your approach. Somehow I think perhaps you have stumbled upon their home while cutting wood.
I've never seen those things before. They look like little mini elves.
Question. Mini elves. Do elves have a really bad reputation around here? Because they're very unwelcoming to humans, right?
They have more of like a weird semi-mystical reputation.
Okay.
Like they're unwelcoming, but they're not actively aggressive. They don't do any raiding or attacks. They're generally considered to be wise and knowledgeable, but it's almost like a Shangri-La sort of thing, like how we might view Tibetan monks, where you're like, ooh, Tibetan monks, up in their high mountains, they're so wise and, they know so many things and they're so kind of peaceful, but, you can't really get into Tibet.
So calling them mini elves isn't like a negative connotation necessarily.
No, not quite. No, it's more like a...
I kind of nod and I say, yes, stories go that small fae such as this are inhabitants of forest, protectors of forest. Is very interesting. Have never had them approach a human settlement before, in my knowledge.
Well, Hope you're still open for business. Sorry to scare off your strange guests, he says a little bit warily.
I kind of nod my head and I say, "Oh, of course, I'm open for business, Gary." I kind of look at Kat and look at Victoria, and I kind of look at and I say, "Vicky, please make sure Kat does not wander too far in forest today. I am unsure of the omen that these brownies bring with them."
You think something bad is going on in the woods?
I kind of like stroke my chin and just kind of peer off in the distance, and I look at him and I say, "I'm unsure. I need more time to figure this out."
Well, shit. I was gonna ask you about that pretty specifically. See, my brother, he hasn't come back.
Oh
He
no!
went out yesterday and didn't show back up. And I was wondering if you might know if he just got... Well, I don't know. You know,
we can search. How long? You say yesterday?
Went out yesterday morning. Didn't come back last night. And when it came to around noon today, I figured I might as well, you know, go see the crazy, weird tattooed guy, no offense, outside of town, see if he knew anything.
I laugh at crazy, weird tattoo guy. I'm like, no offense taken. Have been called much worse.
Just call him like I see him.
I kind of think for a moment and I say, brownies are known as protectors of forest, but also as good creatures. Is possible they came to warn of your brother. I think omen is perhaps poor that your brother is not returned and brownies have come to visit. I say, come with me. We shall search for him using bones. I kind of lead him into the main room and kind of pull the same kind of ritual out, right? This time I kind of select specific bones for him. Like I know exactly what I want out of this, right? I wasn't just having a show for the girl. I select out kind of like the bones of Nadinus and of like nature as a whole, and like these like very specific, maybe even Martha, right, protecting humans and whatnot. And I kind of collect them together, and I ask him. I sit him down. I chant some incantations over them, and I ask him to throw the bones into the bowl for me to read. I ask him to say his brother's name as he casts them.
All right. Okay. So you cast them, or the bones get cast, and he says, kind of muttering under his breath, "Barry."
All right, Barry and Gary. I like it. I omen read for a 30.
It comes up the bone casting equivalent of snake eyes.
So like, okay. I read into this and I look at him and I say, omen is very bad for Barry. Is quite possible he is in grave danger or perhaps already dead. We should perhaps try to find his body, or search for him now. But I fear, I kind of glance at them again and look and say, I fear worst perhaps already happened.
He chews his lip for a bit. How accurate are those things, huh? Barry's a smart guy. He's not one to travel too far.
I kind of give him a look and I say, these are as accurate as these are as accurate as the world wishes to grant. In case here,
What the hell's that mean?
I am very certain. The arcane fabric of magic weaves through all of us, and including these bones. They are attunements to each thread of fabric. When you toss them, the fabric coils around them and can choose to reveal. I interpret. In case here, I am quite certain.
Fabrics of magic. Sure you're not part elf? Something like that?
I kind of nod my head and I say, I am uncertain. I kind of show off these like tattoos and I say, I have it under good authority that these are woven in fabric of arcane. I came here months ago in search of elves. Perhaps they have more to share with me.
Well,
I am very sorry for your brother, Gary. Perhaps I know woods well. Perhaps I could join search for your brother, but I fear what we find may not be what you hope.
shit. He gets up, heads out, and it just starts like tossing wood off the back of his cart onto the ground. Not really making eye contact and just muttering disdainfully. The last few pieces of wood get tossed a little bit hard in the direction of your house, like bounce off your wall and hit the ground nearby. When he's done with it, after probably a good 2 or 3 minutes of silence, he makes eye contact with you and goes, I don't think we'll be needing your help looking. I'll find some regular people.
I kind of like do a weird bow thing. Maybe it's Matavan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he leaves. A few days later, when you go into town to pick up some goods, you do hear that Barry was found dead with some elven arrows embedded in his chest. He was also found in a river. So no one's really sure how he got there, but it's very clear that he did die to elves.
Okay. Oh, and I told him I think I might be part elf. I hear this, and I guess I probably know where the woodcutter lives, right? That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
I probably go to give my condolences, right? Like, I hear that he was found. I'm sorry that we found him too late, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is it commonplace around here to have like a wake or like some kind of thing for the deceased? Perhaps I have Victoria and Kat come to the wake and like we try to give him like some trinket or whatever of warding from, or like some like really inappropriate present for a guy that died by elves, right? Like,
yeah. So there's definitely some sort of wake thing. I think that's how you figure it out, is that you walk past his house on the way to market and you see the wake is in like full swing.
It's like going. Okay.
Yeah, you kind of stumble upon it by accident.
Yeah, so I stumble upon this by accident and Yeah. Okay, so I immediately kind of like go and participate in the wake. And I'm probably taking mental notes of like how people react, and like anything vaguely religious that's not specifically of Martha is very interesting to me, because in the matriarchy, pretty much all you learn is Matava. I mean, all you learn is Martha, and perhaps in this forest they're different, or if it's all Martha stuff, I kind of glance through it and I'm like, oh, I'm an expert in this. And so I kind of wait my turn to kind of go greet Barry or Gary, and I give him the I'm very sorry for loss. You have my condolences. Perhaps I give you. I have a small trinket on me. All right, it's kind of made of a bear paw that's kind of been strung together in a necklace. It's been polished and I have engraved designs in it. And I hand it to him and I say, I made this for family. Perhaps it will protect you from future incursions in woods. And offer my condolences.
He looks you up and down. How are you dressed when you're attending their wake?
I have a loose-fitting robe, right, with the hood down, and I'm basically just skin and bones underneath it. The only really thing of note is a little satchel that I have tied around my waist. With trinkets and stuff in it, and there's this strange twisted black obsidian dagger that I almost always have on my person.
Are your what color are your robes?
Brown, earthy tone brown.
So they're not bright and colorful, but they're also not dark black robes that you would wear to a wake.
Right, because I didn't expect to be in a wake.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
But everyone else here is wearing these dark colors, and everyone's fairly somber, and here you are coming in dressed like you're going to market. You got your shopping bag under your arm.
Yeah.
You get a lot of looks and stares from the people. Gary sort of.
I probably don't register that I'm poorly dressed, right? Because I haven't been to a lot of non-super ceremonial religious things, right? These little things are new to me, and also people stare at me anyway, so it's hard to differentiate between it's the weird tattooed wizard man and he is out of place here.
Right, definitely. But you're getting some uncomfortable looks, some kind of dirty evil eyes, and one person even spits on the ground. Gary takes the bear paw and shrugs a bit and goes, "Thanks, I guess. You think maybe your little friends killed him?"
I kind of think, and I say, it would not be likely. Brownies are good creatures of forest, according to stories I know of them.
Yeah, well, they might not take kindly to woodcutters then, huh?
This is why I asked if you had moved to new part of forest. They seemed nervous about your coming, not angry. It is difficult to say that they would kill your brother. I doubt very much. Again, I am sorry for your loss. I am holding up line here. And I kind of try to shake his hand maybe and excuse myself from the wake.
All right.
Maybe getting the feeling I'm not as welcome as I would like to be.
Yeah. So you depart and go your own way.
Is there anything I know about tracking down brownies? Is there a way to go find them maybe?
They're elusive creatures. That's one of their primary traits. Right. They're hard to find.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm folklore heavy. Perhaps I put out some kind of greeting for Fey folk in the kind of forest near my cottage and hope maybe they'll stop by so that I can have a conversation with them.
Okay. Well, I think we are gonna skip forward in time again a little bit further. The brownies don't show back up.
Disappointing, but understandable.
Yeah. It's now been almost a year since you've arrived, maybe 11 months or so. And it's getting on towards summer, and it's a little hot and muggy out here when the summer starts to roll in. You're right near the large... the bluff that leads down into the canal, and there's also this river that comes nearby and actually dumps into the canal a mile or so down south from the village.
Okay.
And all this water combined with the blazing heat just kind of creates this heavy atmosphere, which the fireflies love. And
Oh.
so, one evening, you're doing whatever it is that you do at home when you hear little Amelie crying out, and then like just bolting out the doors.
I'm probably like in the garden doing like the easy work. Like my wife has like hoed and prepared it and whatever, and I'm like putting little herbs in and like stuff. And I see Amelie just bolting out with a cry, and I just give a heavy sigh. Victoria, I will go after Kat. She seems to have been very excited about something, and I just kind of like leave Ho and go off.
Kat, right? So you find Kat outside, and she is running after these lightning bugs, these fireflies, and like trying to catch them. And then catching and opening, and then like flies out, and she like jumps after the next one.
I think for a moment and I say, "One moment, Kat, we'll help you." And then I go inside and I rummage around to find like little like jars. Maybe they're like full of stuff. I just start pouring jars out, probably to the horror of Victoria. And I get like 3 of these. I just like run out. I'm like, "Kat, we shall catch in jar. They will not fly away." And then I begin chasing around out there with them. With my daughter, like probably with like double-fisted jars, like trying to scoop these things.
She seems like she doesn't want your help, but then like once she catches a few of them, she wants the jars that you've brought.
Okay,
but then
maybe I catch onto that rather quickly, and I instead of like helping her, I like give her the jars and are like, "Go catch them."
Yeah, she's way more into that. She doesn't want her dad's help. She can catch them on her own. So she goes around firefly catching and loading them up, and then after she's got like 4 or 5 of them in one jar, comes over and like shakes it and goes, "What are they?"
I give him a real serious look, and I really wish I knew the Latin name of a firefly. I would say that, but I don't. I tell her they are lightning bug. This particular bug loves this time of year. It lights up, fluorescent like lightning at night. Keep them in jar, and then when nighttime comes, we'll show you awesome trick.
Oh. She nods, keeps them in the jar, and takes another jar and tries to catch a few more.
Yeah. Maybe. No, that wouldn't work the same in this climate. Okay, never mind. I just kind of watch her doing that, and perhaps I begin collecting like little twigs and like leaves and stuff that maybe the bugs would eat. Maybe I know what the lightning bug enjoys, and I kind of like backfill her jars when she sets them down to like put new ones together, so that like the lightning bugs have a chance to stay alive a little longer. Kind of fill these up.
Okay. The jars fill up. She has fun playing with them. Is there anything specific you want to do with them or teach her about them?
I kind of like give her a kind of like quick lesson on like what the lightning bug like eats and does. I give her like the most boring biology lesson like you've ever had in your life, right? Like I give you the Latin name of the bug. I tell you like its purpose on the like food chain, how I describe like in intimate detail how it lights up. And she's probably bored to freaking tears, right?
Yes.
It's like so it's such a terrible dissertation, but eventually I like kind of wrap them up. I put them in the sun because I think they need that to glow. And I say, at night, we shall go out in woods. We'll show you special place using these. Basically, we'll wait until night, and then I'll show off the jar. Right at night, they kind of flutter and glow, and she gets this like cool image of the like glowing jars of bugs.
Right.
I know tree and forest that lightning bugs love. We'll have to go there. Yes, it will glow like the bugs are leaves on tree, glowing lightning tree.
Ooh, can we go now? 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 Can we go now?
Yes.
Ah.
And so like we begin wandering our way through like kind of the muggy evening at night. Perhaps I look at Victoria and I'm like, Victoria, would you like to come along and see lightning tree? Is beautiful sight, I know. Not as beautiful as you, but close.
Yeah, she nods and comes along with you.
All right. And so I kind of lead my family kind of through the forest. Like maybe we go over the river in kind of like a deeper part, and north of the hut, we kind of eventually reach a clearing, and there's this one tree that like the sap is like candy to these lightning bugs, right? And so at night, like they're all over this tree, and they're just crawling. There's probably hundreds of them or thousands of them on this tree, and they're all glowing, and so it kind of looks like there's this like all the leaves on the tree are glowing. It's like the bugs themselves are the glowing living parts of the tree. Yeah.
They're both very impressed by this. I'm impressed by it. That sounds awesome. Is that a real thing, or are you just making this up?
I may or may not have stolen it from an anime I watched.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, I show them this off, and like, and I kind of point to the jars, and like, you can keep them in here, and like, I'll go and like scrape off. Even better, I go and I scrape off some bark, and I like put it in the jar for them. But I also take like a branch, right, and I take like a small twig that like the bugs are still on, and like it's like a pretty flower almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I hand that to Victoria, and I say, a flower as beautiful as you, and yeah,
oh, Yari,
yeah,
you're so
and then
sweet.
I kind of describe like how you can keep these lightning bugs around and see them throughout the year if you keep them fed and stuff.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take our first break here. We'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. If you're watching live, if you're watching on VOD, we'll be back right away. And when we come back, we have a few more things to get to. So stick around. See you guys on the other side.